Good afternoon. My name is Aisha Chugtai, and I am the chair of the Budget Committee. I'm going to call to order our meeting for Monday, October 6th, 2025. Before we begin the meeting, I want to offer a friendly reminder to all members, staff, and the public that these meetings are broadcast live to enable greater public participation. These broadcasts include real-time captioning as a further method to increase the accessibility of our proceedings to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully capture and transcribe all comments for the broadcast. We ask all speakers to moderate the speed and clarity of their comments. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll so we can verify the presence of a quorum.
Councilmember Payne.
Present.
Wansley.
Present.
Rainville.
Present.
Vita.
Present.
Ellison is absent. Osman is absent. Cashman.
Present.
Jenkins is absent. Chavez.
Present.
Chowdhury.
Present.
Palmisano.
Present.
Vice Chair Koski.
Present.
Chair Chugtai.
Present.
We have 10 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. I will also remind my colleagues that we will be using speaker management today, so please make sure to sign in. Our first item on the agenda today is correcting the points and salary range of an appointed position of Deputy Director 311 Service Center. For this, I will invite Brenda Miller from the Human Resources Department to offer a brief presentation.
Thank you, Chair Chugtai and members of the committee. I'm Brenda Miller with the Classification and Compensation Department. I'm here today to correct points for the Deputy Director of 311 Service Center that was reviewed on September 8th by this committee. There was an error by our outside consultant in totaling the points, and it resulted in a decrease of 5 points. So it went from 578 points to 573 points. And that does make a difference slightly in the pay and compensation for this position. So the bottom step went from $129,000 to $128,000, or approximately $1,142. And the top step went from $153,000 to $152,000, or a difference of $1,354. Again, this position meets the criteria of Section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances. And again, we're asking for your approval and submission to the City Council for review. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, I will move approval of this item. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Miller. Our next item on the agenda is to receive public comments on the mayor's recommended 2026 budget. Mayor Fry presented his budget on August 13th this year, providing a proposed fiscal plan for the city's operations in 2026 totaling just over $2 billion, with an increase to the city property tax levy of about 7.8%. The Board of Estimate and Taxation met in September and voted to authorize a tax levy of up to 8% to ensure adequate funding for parks projects coming online like Graco Park and the Upper Harbor Terminal project. A copy of the mayor's recommended budget is posted to the city's website, which is available at minneapolismn.gov/budget. A PDF version is also available on the city's Legislative Information Management System. Since the mayor presented his recommended budget, the Budget Committee has been receiving a series of presentations throughout the months of September and will continue through October to examine the details of each department's budget requests. These meetings are available on demand on the city's YouTube channel. Today's public hearing is the second of 4 hearings the council will conduct on the proposed 2026 budget. The Budget Committee will hold a third public hearing on Wednesday, November 19th at 6:05 p.m. in these chambers. Our fourth and final public hearing, which will be the statutorily required Truth in Taxation hearing, is scheduled for a meeting of the City Council on Tuesday, December 9th at 6:05 p.m. And now, before we open the floor to public comments, I'll recognize Budget Director Jane DeSenza, who will provide a brief summary of the proposed budget. Welcome, Director.
Thank you, Chair Chugtai, members of the committee, Jane DeSenza, Budget Director. I'm here today to provide a brief overview of the resources available to both the committee and to the public, as well as to highlight some of those key milestones remaining in this budget process. These milestones represent important opportunities for community engagement in the budget process and for individuals to make their voices heard. For a full discussion on the 2026 budget, I recommend people review the budget overview presentation that was given to this body on September 8th, and that is available on YouTube. Today's more abridged presentation, we'll start by walking through the structure of the budget book, highlighting some key sections for folks to identify changes within the budget. Following that, we'll get into the maximum property tax levy as adopted by the Board of Estimate and Taxation in September. And we'll do a little bit of a demonstration of the levy impact estimator. And finally, we'll conclude with those remaining key dates in the budget process. The budget book is something we work hard on to produce twice a year. And we make refinements annually based on feedback from our colleagues and from the public. The goal is always a readable document that explains the key financial and policy decisions made by our city's policymakers. Each page is designed to answer your key questions. This year, we've added more detail on each department page as it relates to staffing. So this information was available publicly last year, but it was harder to find, and now it's directly on each department's page. We also added a 2026 budget changes section for each department as applicable that narrates either the funding reductions, some limited increases, as well as transfers of funding between departments. The link on this slide, as well as the QR code, will take you directly to that budget page on the city's website where you can select the 2026 recommended budget, as well as the 2025-26 biennial budget, which was adopted in December. This slide shows you the table of contents for the budget book as a reference. I'd like to draw your attention to two key sections that are most helpful to the public. First of all, the budget in brief in the financial summary section is where you'll find key facts about the overall expenses and revenues for the city, as well as discussion of trends, risks, and accomplishments, and property tax impacts. And then the operating department section, you'll notice there's a page for each department in the city, and this is where you can get a full discussion of how the department's work is impacted by any budget changes that are recommended for 2026. That is also where you'll find discussion of their core services for the public. Moving on to the maximum property tax levy and its impacts. This table shows the maximum property tax levies as adopted by the Board of Estimate and Taxation in September. That sets the levy at an 8% growth from the amount that was collected for 2025. The financial direction also shows several years into the future, and you'll notice that the rate of increase moderates down to 2.9% in the out years. We've once again worked with the assessing department to develop the levy impact estimator. This gives residents and policymakers more of a sense of the realities of the property tax levy. It allows users to input specific property values and explore how different levies could impact the estimated property tax bill. It's meant to support data-informed decision-making and promote transparency in the budget process. This tool is linked in the budget book. It's accessible on the city's website, and it's also available at this QR code on the slide. The example here looks at an 8% levy increase scenario for a median citywide residential homestead property. The table shows how the estimated tax impact lands across a range of market values, and the map shows how those impacts differ by ward, with the darkest color blue meaning the highest level impact. These are, of course, estimated figures, and so certain elements of the tax calculation will not be finalized until later in the year. And finally, just reiterating some of those next steps that the budget chair already mentioned, we're in our second of the fourth of scheduled public hearings. The final hearing and budget adoption occurs on December 9. We have been following along with the departmental budget presentations throughout the month of September and through the end of October. The QR code on this slide will take you directly to the Budget Committee's calendar, where you can see all of the details of those upcoming opportunities to engage. And finally, just a note that we were delighted to join Ward 9 for a budget engagement session last week and to hear from all of the folks in that area. So with that, I'll stand aside. Thank you.
Thank you, Director DeSenza. Do my colleagues have any comments or questions? I'm not seeing any, so with that, before we proceed to the public hearing, I want to review a few procedural matters. If you have written comments or materials to submit, please give those to the clerks either outside where you signed in by the registration table or at the end of the dais right over here. We also have printed comment forms available at the registration table if you'd like to submit a comment on this proposal and have that included in the public record. I would also encourage everyone to take advantage of submitting your comments about the budget in other ways. The easiest way to submit your comments and ensure they are added to the public record is to send those to the city website at minneapolismn.gov/public comment. All submitted comments will be included again in the public record related to the 2026 budget. We will be taking speakers in the order they are registered. If you would like to testify, I invite you to register your name with the clerks at the table in the hallway outside of these chambers. Every speaker should have an assigned number. You got a little sheet that has your number on it. We will be calling speakers by number. Because we are limited on available seating in this room, there is an overflow room where the public can monitor this meeting. If you're registered to speak but aren't able to sit in the chamber, please head towards the chambers as we get close to your speaker number. If you are not able to make it by the time your number is called, there will be an opportunity at the end, and we'll make sure anyone who wants to speak today is able to do so. Every registered speaker will be given 2 minutes to address the committee. We have a timer available right by where the clerks sit to help speakers monitor the use of their time. We ask that you wrap up your comments when your time has expired so that we can accommodate all speakers today and everyone has a fairness in the amount of time they receive. We also ask everyone to be respectful of all speakers and of all opinions offered, especially when they disagree or when they are different from your own. We have arranged for interpretation for those who may need that assistance to participate in today's hearing. If you require assistance, please let the clerks at the registration table know. We have interpreters available for those needing Spanish or Somali interpretation. For those utilizing an interpreter, the speaking time will be adjusted to 4 minutes to address the committee. I understand sometimes there are community interpreters that also come to assist speakers that require those services. You're welcome to use whichever interpreter you feel the most comfortable with. I understand that we have 38 people who are registered to speak so far today. Again, before I open the floor, I'll invite anyone who hasn't already registered but wishes to speak to register with the clerks at the table in the hallway outside of these chambers. We'll ask each speaker to self-identify for the public record before you begin your comments. That looks like your name, and if you would like, your ward or neighborhood or your organizational affiliation. With that, we're ready to open the public hearing. The first 5 people who are registered to speak today are speaker number 1, Sally Fineday, speaker number 2, Rebecca Smith, speaker number 3, Luke Oline Junk, speaker number 4, James Harris, and speaker number 5, Bertina Davis. I will first invite speaker number 1, Sally, to come and join us.
Buju. Ashikawe Bikni Indigo Makwani Dudem Ogishkamanasini Dudem. I'm an Ojibwe person representing Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe today. We're a Ojibwe tribe located in north central Minnesota. We have a population of about 10,000 people. The reason I'm here is that I was here in July at a meeting here in the urban office, Leech Lake Twin City urban office, and at that meeting, we heard from community member Jana Williams that she was begging the council to help us, help our people, because our people are living in the streets, and it's going to be wintertime. We really need something. We need you to help. There's not enough programming. There's not enough shelters. Help. So with that, I heard when she said, her last statement was, when she got to the meeting, on her way to the meeting, she saw a young lady sleeping in a box. That, to me, was horrific because, you know, in our society, Ojibwe people, we as women are the backbone of our family. To learn that a young woman, the backbone of her family to come, is sleeping in a box is unbelievable. I've come here today to talk to you about four specific areas. One, disparities. The Indian people, the Ojibwe people, and the Dakota people in Minnesota have always had disparities when it comes to whatever it is. It might be drug abuse, it might be homelessness, but with homelessness, we are definitely disparate. 2% of our population representing 30% of the homeless populations here in the metro area. And number two is culture. We are culturally different people. We really want to express that. We have to have culture in our healing practices. Number three, I'm here to recommend that we all work together. The Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe is ready for options where we can all work together. We also want to make sure that there's adequate funding for homelessness. Miigwech.
Thank you. If you have additional comments in writing that you'd like to submit, I would again welcome you to do so. Thank you. Speaker number 2 is Rebecca Smith. Welcome.
Budget Committee Chair Chugtai and City Council members, my name is Rebecca Smith. I'm a resident of Ward 4 and CEO of Speak Minneapolis, the steward of public access TV right here in Minneapolis, continuing a 40-year legacy of this vital public service. I am here today as a small business owner, an employer, and a media professional with over 20 years of experience. And I believe in the power of storytelling to create meaningful change in our world. Since launching in 2020, our team and community members, many are here with me today and have written letters, have built a nationally recognized media center where neighbors come together to create, to learn, to engage, and amplify their voices. With studios in Ward 1 and Ward 10, we serve 185 members from the ages of 9 to 88 and continue to grow every day. The 2026 mayor's recommended budget includes a $12,500 ongoing reduction to public access TV. This cut is unsustainable and will unfortunately reduce the number of classes, media resources, and opportunities available to residents. Community media is not a luxury. It's essential to our city's civic health, ensuring free speech, digital equity, and generating excitement about the democratic process. Minneapolis already invests less in public access than many other similar-sized cities. Just 10 years ago, the city's investment was nearly twice what it is today. Rather than further reducing this funding, let's work together to strengthen it. When the city invests in Speak Minneapolis, that investment multiplies. It's an investment in youth, job creation, education for all, career development opportunities, and innovation. At a time when disinvestment in public media and corporate media consolidation threaten free speech and democratic debate, we cannot afford to lose one of the few places where the First Amendment is truly protected. I'm asking Council to restore full funding for public access TV so Minneapolis remains a place where residents come together to make our city a better place, and we ensure every voice is heard for years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will welcome speaker number 3, Luke.
Good afternoon. My name is Luke Oleen-Junk. I'm a resident of Ward 10. I'm here as the Community Media Manager at Speak Minneapolis. In addition to my duties at Public Access Television, I'm also a working filmmaker. That work has allowed me to see firsthand how few opportunities there are in media production and how intensely that process is gatekept. The simple fact is, in the 21st century, media is an essential part of the political process and civic life. Limiting access to production tools and broadcast platforms limits the number and the kind of voices which are allowed to participate in the larger conversation. As a public institution dedicated to the First Amendment and to amplifying voices from all backgrounds, we provide the citizens of Minneapolis with the training, the tools, and the opportunities they need to participate. We currently have 185 active members, and that number is growing every year. Last year, those members utilized 100,000 hours worth of production resources and equipment rentals to produce over 2,000 unique programs focused on local issues from a local perspective. These are the concrete facts. But before I finish, I would like to speak about some intangibles. Media skills mean media literacy. The more people understand about how what they watch is made, the less susceptible they are to misinformation, disinformation, and outright manipulation. Our members are production ready and media savvy. At the very top of the industry, media production and broadcast are now controlled by just a few massive corporate entities. It may seem like there are more viewing options now than ever, but those are all funneled through a very narrow pass run by people with very specific interests. This has a homogenizing effect on American cultural life, with each city and town looking more and more alike each year. Public access is focused on the local, the independent, and the human. We amplify and celebrate Minneapolis as it exists on the ground level for people who live here, work here, and make it what it is. We allow room for eccentricity, idiosyncrasy, and the simple joy of creation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll welcome speaker number 4, James Harris.
Hello, my name's James Harris. I live downtown here in Ward 7, and I'm the Director of Community Media at Speak Minneapolis. I'm a media educator, and for 10 years, I've been in community providing hands-on classes, jobs, and volunteer opportunities that build media literacy skills and prepare residents for careers in media. Through our TV studio and field camera classes, video editing, media literacy, and podcasting classes that we offer throughout the year, nearly 200 community members received media training even in just 2024 alone. Some of our members come from organizations such as YouthLink, Sparked Studios, Advancing Equity Coalition, Little Earth, Indian Health Board, West Broadway Business and Area Coalition, Twin Cities Recovery Project, and many more. One of my biggest passions is youth work, and third spaces like Speak Minneapolis are key to healthy youth development. We've provided real-world training to over 100 youth since 2020 through our youth programs Rise Minneapolis, where young people gain leadership skills and paid internships, for many of which is their first job. As a step-up employer this past summer, we hosted 10 high school interns. In fact, my first internship while I was in college was in public access TV, and it was instrumental in discovering my own passions for media education and workforce development. Just some quotes from some of our members who've been through classes. Quote, "I came away from the experience with more confidence and enthusiasm." Quote, "This was one of the best hands-on classes I've attended to learn the basics." Quote, "I've enjoyed attending all the Speak MPLS offerings because I get to meet the Minneapolis and greater metro area folks." And quote, "The Rise Minneapolis program really helps me connect with and learn about others within my community." I ask that you restore full funding for public access TV in Minneapolis so our organization can continue to advance digital equity and expand on training opportunities for years to come.
Thank you. Now, before we continue on to speaker number 5, I will go over the next 5 speakers after. So, speaker number 6 will be Douglas Williams. Speaker number 7 will be Nancy Smith. Speaker number 8, Simone Samuels. Speaker number 9, Jana Williams. and speaker number 10, Erica Thank you. All right, with that, let's welcome speaker number 5, Bettina Davis. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bettina Davis. I'm an actor, filmmaker, advocate, and a community member who only comes out when I actually care deeply about an organization. Speak Minneapolis is one of those organizations. The proposed budget cuts to media affect programs, and there are plenty of people who have already spoken to this and who will continue to speak to that, but I want to speak about the people who will be affected. Speak Minneapolis provides space for all Minneapolis residents to be able to tell their stories about their own communities. Without organizations like Speak, imagine a teen struggling with mental health issues whose life might be saved by the art of storytelling. The ability to rent equipment because maybe they can't afford it since they have a mother working several hours a week, or a chance through programs they wouldn't otherwise get those opportunities as well. What happens to these community members with mental health issues, with hard lives, or with other struggles is their story goes untold, and they feel more alone. All those people that would have heard those stories also feel more alone. As someone who was one of those teens, programs like this saved me and made me into a savvy community leader. Our city can't afford to lose savvy community leaders who will bring more community-centered values to Minneapolis. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will welcome speaker number 6, Douglas Williams, followed by speaker number 7, Nancy Smith.
Hello, Council. Thank you for having me up. Hello, my name is Douglas Williams. I'm a resident of Loring Park in Ward 7 and an ardent supporter of public media. When I first learned about the $12,500 cut that Mayor Frey proposed to the city's public access television station, run excellently by Rebecca Smith and the folks at Speak Minneapolis, I could hardly believe it. The truth of the matter is that corporate consolidation of mass media and Trump administration cuts to public radio and television has made it more difficult than ever to find information about our cities, our neighborhoods, and our communities. And when we are able to find any information about these things, they are often reported by folks who are not from here, who have no investment in the well-being of our communities. This proposed budgetary action is the opposite of what we should be doing as a city. We should be working overtime to fill the gaps left by mass media and the shuttering of the Corporation of Public Broadcasting. I'm a union organizer and a former educator. My job is to educate and inform. It is much easier to do that when there is an institution out there informing workers about the goings-on in their community and the city around them. Speak Minneapolis and our city's public access television does just that. I should know. I watch the programming myself and rely on them to understand what's going on in the community around me. I implore the City Council to reject this cut to the Speak Minneapolis budget, and additionally, to take up the responsibility of informing our city. Our democracy depends on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will welcome speaker number 7, Nancy Smith, followed by speaker number 8, Simone Samuels.
Ha midakiapi. Tahampa duzaha amakiapi. I'm an enrolled member. My name is Nancy Smith. I'm an enrolled member of the Sisseton Wahpeton Dakota Oyate from Sisseton, South Dakota. I am a Minneapolis resident, and I'm from Ward 5. I'm one of the original founding members of Speak Minneapolis. So it was my fortune to see this organization grow from an infant. We had to hit the ground running, and as an infant, we had to find a home, and we found 2 studios that house the organization. As a toddler, we had to work out a contract with the city of Minneapolis. As a teenager, we had to staff the organization, and then as an adult, we opened our doors to the community. All of this happened in 1 year. So it was a tremendous amount of work for the staff that are on board, but Speak Minneapolis is one of the most amazing organizations, a true community media center that I've been involved with. I'm a fierce supporter of public access TV because it encourages residents to use their voices. And we have very, very varied voices in this community. Speak Minneapolis is a diverse organization. I think one of the greatest things about Speak Minneapolis is the youth programming that they've done over the past 4 years. They've collaborated with Minneapolis Public Schools and with other neighborhood organizations to bring youth voices to the center of the organization. My time is up?
That's right.
Okay. I'm just urging you to restore full funding to Speak Minneapolis. Thank you.
Wonderful. And if you'd like to submit your written comments, you're welcome to do so by the clerks right over there. Thank you. Next, we are going to welcome speaker number 8, Simone Samuels, followed by speaker number 9, Jana Williams.
Firstly, I'd like to say hello, committee, and as well as a quick thank you to Jana, Allison's aunt, as well as the people who reached out to me from the city council. I could come up here and say so many things about my sister, Mariah Samuels. I could tell you she was a wonderful person. She was a dog groomer. She was loved by her community, but these are things you would already know if she was still living and breathing. Unfortunately, my sister was slain in front of my father's house. We only put her to rest about a week ago, and I would like to bring some light to the case that is ongoing for her murderer, David Wright, and his charges. He has 3 different counties he's offended in. He is a felon more than once over, and here are some of his charges that he has. I'm going to read off very quickly. Aggravated robbery, twice over, damage to property, risk of bodily harm, controlled substances, possession of a firearm in the felony degree, controlled substances, domestic assault with a violation to parole, disorderly conduct, abuse or contempt of court, willfully disobedience, assault, controlled of substances, damage to property, assault, disorderly conduct. I think that says more than enough than we need to know. Unfortunately, David Wright was released, and shortly after, within a few hours, he managed to go to my father's house. After threatening her for weeks, he killed her and then proceeded to run away and cut his dreads off. And when we saw him in court, it's as if it didn't mean anything to him. I'm urging the council, I'm just urging you guys to take this case seriously. She is the 17th victim in Minneapolis, along with Allison. Thank you.
Thank you. If you have additional comments that you weren't able to get to, please make sure to submit those. You can do those online as well. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 9, Jana Williams, followed by speaker number 10, Erica Castro. Sorry. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jana Williams. I know you guys all know me. I've been here for the last year now speaking about Allison Luciar's case. The only thing that I wanted, and I begged of the city and I begged of you guys, and thank you for actually giving Allison an outside audit, but why I came here is because I begged you guys to step in with Minneapolis PD and this mayor and to get Minneapolis PD under control. I didn't want any more Allisons, but yet we have Mariah now, because of Minneapolis PD's lack of doing their job. What she didn't tell you guys, and you guys, some of you do know this, that when this monster pistol whipped her, held a gun to her head, and choked her out, Minneapolis PD never sent that case up for charging. just like Allison. I beg this city to not do this again. We need to get control over this mayor and of this police department. What a lot of you guys also don't know is Randy Rossett, July 4th, on 26th and Cedar. He died in front of a Minneapolis squad car. 17-year-old Maya Stand and 11-year-old, her sister, were walking by this man that they knew overdosing on the side of the street. They ran to the squad car directly across the street from them, begged him for Narcan. You know, he said, I don't have any Narcan. That's their policy, isn't it? That's their policy, to carry Narcan in their car. Then she said, and he said to her, he says, you got to call 911. And she says, call 911, you got to get that Narcan from paramedics, and you got to call 911 for that. And she said, well, call paramedics. And he says, I can't dispatch paramedics, you have to. But your officer sat there and watched Randy Rossett die in front of him. We're talking about homelessness today, you guys. We're talking about all sorts of things. Human life is first and foremost in this city. You know who Randy Rossett was? Allison Luciar's nephew. How many more of my relatives do I have to lose because of Minneapolis PD? Do something about this, chief. It's time for him to be fired. He needs to go.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we welcome speaker number 10, Erica Castro, I'm going to go through the next 5 speakers after her. Speaker number 11 is Kaylee Murphy. Speaker number 12, Ashton Samuelson. Speaker number 13, Ursula Roldan. And speaker number 14, Sue Goodstar. And speaker number 15, Luisa Yela. So, speaker number 10, Erica Castro.
Hola, concejales. Mi nombre es Erika Castro y trabajo en construcción en roofing. Estoy aquí porque creo que es importante defender la dignidad y el respeto de los trabajadores en construcción, especialmente para las mujeres con experiencia. A veces no hay respeto para las trabajadoras de mujeres en el sector por el programa de conforzamiento en CETUL. Nos apoya a comprender nuestros derechos como trabajadores de la construcción y también cómo defendernos.
Hello, council members. My name is Erika Castro, and I work in construction and roofing. I'm here because I believe it's important to defend the dignity and respect of construction workers, especially women. In my experience, there is sometimes a lack of respect for female workers in the sector, and it's through the co-enforcement program that CETUL supports us in understanding our rights as construction workers and how to defend them.
Por ejemplo, CETUL me ha enseñado a exigir el pago todas las horas que trabajé. Ante muchas veces trabajé 10 a 11 horas al día, pero solo me pagaban 8 horas. Y el resto el robo de salario afecta mi capacidad para mantener a mi familia. Intenté hablar con mi jefe al respecto y me dijeron que hablara con la agencia, quien luego me envió de vuelta con mi jefe, así que me estaba dando largas. CETUL me está apoyando para ver cómo puedo resolver esta situación. Este es un ejemplo de cómo CETUL me apoya y garantiza un salario justo, gracias al programa de conforzamiento.
For example, CETUL has taught me to demand payment for my wages. There's often times I've worked 10, 11 hours a day and only getting payment for 8 of those hours. And this kind of wage theft affects my ability to be able to support my family. I tried talking to my boss about it, but they told me to go talk to management, who then sent me back to my boss, and they're basically just giving me the runaround. CETUL is supporting me in how I can actually resolve this situation, and this is just one example of how CETUL supports me in ensuring fair wages through the co-enforcement program.
Me entusiasma que haya apoyo para trabajadores como yo para comprender y ejercer nuestros derechos. Por eso el programa de conforzamiento es una herramienta tan importante que nos podemos perder. Por favor, financiar permanente completamente el programa. El enforzamiento para todos los trabajadores, especialmente para las mujeres trabajadoras de construcción como yo, que tiene hijos que dependen de nosotros, y muchas gracias.
So I am thrilled that there is support for workers like me to understand and exercise our rights. That is why the co-enforcement program is such an important tool and one that we cannot afford to lose. Please permanently and fully fund the co-enforcement program for all workers, and especially for workers who are women like me, whose children depend on us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 11, Kaylee Murphy, followed by speaker number 12, Ashton Samuelson.
Good afternoon. My name is Kaylee Murphy, and I'm a resident of Ward 10, and I work in an event center in Ward 5. I've worked in the service industry for over 20 years, my whole adult life, and I love what I do. I love taking care of people and making sure they have a fun and memorable experience. I love learning and honing new skills, and I love being in an energetic, fast-paced environment. But there are some things about the industry that I don't love. Harassment of workers based on gender, race, or language, wage theft, and retaliatory management. And when the bad parts become unbearable, it's widely understood that you either buck up or go find somewhere else to work. Since becoming aware of and working with co-enforcement orgs like SETUL and ROC, I've come to learn that standing up for myself and demanding respect doesn't just get you fired. I've not only learned what rights I have, I've learned how to assert them, and what to do when they've been violated. And I've learned how to work with my coworkers to make sure our rights are respected and protected. Now, not only can I stand up for myself, but I can lead my coworkers in standing together. Together, we will make the workplace a good place to work and remain a good place to work after we've left. The knowledge and skills I've learned from ROC and SETUL are priceless, and I definitely would be worse off without them. That's why I'm here to speak against Mayor Fry's proposed cuts to the co-enforcement budget. Please vote to restore funding to the program, because without these organizations, we all suffer. Stepping up and speaking up can be embarrassing and frightening. But with these groups behind us, we can be brave and proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 12, Ashton Samuelson, followed by speaker number 13, Ursula Roldan.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Ashton. I work in a restaurant, I live in Ward 13 and work in a restaurant in Ward 3, and I'm here to speak about the importance of co-enforcement. Over the summer, one of my line cooks cut his finger. He informed a manager, but he was told to bandage it and return right back to work. He felt that he couldn't push back against management, even though his injury was severe. 7 hours later, after his shift was finished, he came to the bar for a drink, his bandaged hand still dripping blood. I told him to tell management, but he kept refusing because he didn't want to risk losing his job or being retaliated against. He feared losing shifts, being judged as lazy, a complainer, and somebody who just couldn't handle what it takes to be a cook. It took me over 20 minutes to convince him that he wouldn't lose his job if he had to get medical treatment. He finally left and was admitted to the ER. I don't want to think of how bad it could have gotten if I hadn't have said anything. It's the training that I received at SETUL that gave me the knowledge and the confidence to push my coworker to get treatment and be prepared to push back against management if they resisted. Being a part of SETUL has taught me how to protect myself and my coworkers from the abuse experienced by restaurant workers in the city of Minneapolis. It's especially important because the highest violation industries are expected to grow by 20 to 40% in the next decade. That includes restaurants. On top of that, the risk of injury, like the one my coworker experienced, are significant. It is therefore more important than ever that workers know their rights and have access to organizations outside of the workplace which are available to support them when their rights are violated. It is even more important at a time where the federal government is stepping back from this vital responsibility. If this administration isn't serious about a fully funded co-enforcement program, then it is not serious about protecting workers on our basic rights. That's why I'm here to ask you to fully fund co-enforcement program so that workers in Minneapolis have a voice in their workplace. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we are going to welcome speaker number 13, Ursula, followed by speaker number 14, Sue Goodstar. Clerks, if we can adjust the timer. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Úrsula Roldán. Yo trabajo en el centro en el área de la comida.
My name is Ursula Roldan, and I work in downtown in food service.
Trabajar en el centro no es tan fácil. A veces los negocios de los edificios cierran por semanas y eso perjudica a los trabajadores económicamente.
Working in downtown isn't always easy. Sometimes businesses or buildings close for weeks, and that hurts us financially.
Por ejemplo, en mi lugar de trabajo han cerrado el edificio por 4 semanas y no trabajaremos. No nos van a pagar. Eso me afecta porque yo no soy rica, pero a veces pensamos que tenemos derechos de un pago y no es así.
For example, at my workplace, the building is being closed for 4 weeks, and we won't be working. And we were told that we won't be paid, and that affects me. I'm not rich, but sometimes as workers, we think that we're entitled to a payment, and that's not the case.
Por eso me importa CETUL, porque con CETUL aprendí los derechos laborales y también los que no son derechos de los trabajadores. Yo tengo más de 15 años trabajando en el centro y no sabía de tiempos de enfermedad pagados hasta que conocí a CETUL.
So that's why CETUL matters to me, because there I've been able to learn about my labor rights and also what aren't my rights as a worker. I have been working downtown for over 15 years, and I didn't even know about paid sick time until I met CETUL.
Aún ahora que sé de esta ley, todavía tengo miedo de pedir descanso cuando estoy enferma porque pienso que si falto no me van a pagar.
Yeah. Even now that I know about this law of sick and safe time, I'm still afraid to ask for time off when I'm sick because I think that if I miss work, I won't be paid.
Por eso un programa como Conforzamiento es muy importante porque con el programa organizaciones como CETUL pueden enseñar a los trabajadores lo que necesitamos entender sobre los derechos en el trabajo y cómo utilizarlos.
That's why a co-enforcement program is so important, because with the program, organizations like CETUL can teach workers what we need to understand about our rights at work and how to use them.
También en CETUL aprendimos cómo hablar con nuestros compañeros de trabajo sobre esos derechos. Es importante que inviertan en el conforzamiento y en nosotros los trabajadores para que más personas como yo puedan conocer sus derechos y defenderlos. Gracias.
In CETUL, we also learn about how to talk to our coworkers about our rights at work. It's important that you invest in the co-enforcement program and in us as workers so that more people like me can learn about our rights and defend them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we will welcome speaker number 13, sorry, we just did that. I'm sorry, Ursula. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 14, Sue Goodstar, followed by speaker number 15, Luisa Yela.
Forgive me, I'm slow. I have a
Take your time.
ankle.
Take your time.
I will. Just a second. I could think of 100 different things I could be doing today on my birthday. But Satul and co-enforcement mean more than turning 66.
Let's go, Sue. Happy
birthday, Sue. Hi, I'm Sue. Y'all know me, and I'm back again, fighting for our rights yet again. As y'all know, the mayor has cut our co-enforcement budget by over half. This hurts the black and brown people that it's here to serve. Someone in this administration, or several, don't take us seriously about what we do in co-enforcement. But co-enforcement is protecting our workers' basic rights. Thankfully, many of the council members here support Satul and co-enforcement. They know how to move money around so we can get the funds we need to keep co-enforcement going. We hope you can do it again to restore our funds. You can't say co-enforcement doesn't work, because just in 2024, we reached 3,536 different workers in 505 different employments. I myself have firsthand experience participating in trainings with these workers, because I know how much it affects them and their rights, and half the time they're not informed. A key part of this program is the workers training workers. And we're able to reach more people now because the workers will spread help to everybody else, and we'll get bigger and bigger, period. Put yourself in their shoes, the people who this program's help. How would you feel if you didn't know where you could go or how you could get your money returned to you after it was stolen from you? Hopefully this will never happen to you, and hopefully you can restore our funding for the program, so we can help many other families to do what we do, and hopefully you won't have to experience this either. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Ms. Sue.
Thank you.
Before we continue to speaker number 15, I'm going to go through the next 5 speakers after. So we will welcome speaker number 16, Donovan Begay-Pastier. Speaker number 17, Jordan Thompson. Speaker number 18 is Derek. I'm sorry, I can't. Yep, and then speaker number 19, Mike Forshaw, followed by speaker number 20, Aaron Johnson. So with that, I'll welcome speaker number 15, Luisa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luisa Ayala, and I'm an organizer at Satul, a worker center in Minneapolis. In February, I stood beside Mayor Fry during a press conference celebrating the recovery of $2 million in stolen wages in this city. Beside me that day was Crispin, a worker who shared how, with Satul's support and the city's Labor Standards Enforcement Division, he recovered wages that had been stolen from him. That moment showed what's possible when the city and the community work together. The mayor praised our partnership and said that victories like Crispin's wouldn't be possible without the continued partnership between community organizations and the city. But now, just a few months later, we see a proposed cut to co-enforcement funding by more than 50%. Since that press conference in February, Crispin has left the United States. He was too afraid in the current political climate. Cutting co-enforcement takes away the very support that gave him hope. It tells workers like him that his courage doesn't matter. The system we live under was not built for working class people. Reaching workers whose rights are continuously violated requires a deep partnership between the city and community organizations. Building enough trust with each worker to support them in speaking up, to understand that they too deserve justice, is a greater challenge that can only be met by working together. Employers count on the isolation of workers and the lack of resources. They know the workers they abuse the most, often minorities, immigrants, or undocumented workers, are the least likely to report the exploitation or know where to turn. They don't expect trained organizers who speak their language to show up and help them fight back. We appreciate the efforts of the City Council to ensure the co-enforcement partnership remains strong and impactful, and we look forward to continuing to work with you all these years to reverse the harmful cuts in the mayor's proposed budget.
Thank you. Next, we will welcome speaker number 16, Donovan, followed by speaker number 17, Jordan Thompson.
Good afternoon, council members. Yadeshe Donovan Yanshe. I'm Navajo from Arizona, but I call Minneapolis my home. I live in Ward 9. I'm a first-generation homeowner, and I'm also a transgender woman living in Minneapolis. My journey to this city was to create a world that I want and a place where I can tell my story. And being in Minneapolis now for about 20 years, I just wanted to say that I'm completely grateful for all the opportunities that this city has given me through education, through employment, and most of all, through storytelling. I live in Ward 9 and I work in the East Phillips Park neighborhood, Little Earth of United Tribes. I am a director there, and we oversee the family and family and adult empowerment programs. We see all of the negative things going on firsthand all the time, and it's not without our voices that we're able to share our stories on a daily basis, but it's through Minneapolis Public Access TV that helps us get that knowledge out there to our community. And I just want the council members to know that we have 38 different tribes living in Little Earth, and of that, 3,300 of them are Minneapolis residents. So that's American Indians here living in the cities. That's how important our stories are. It's vital for us. And I just want to continue to share that the education and the access that Speak Minneapolis provides to the city is vital in making sure that our voices are heard and that we can continue to tell our stories.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 17, Jordan, followed by speaker number 18, Derek.
Good afternoon. My name is Jordan Lee Thompson. I am a Minneapolis resident living in Ward 3, and I am the executive director of Listen Up Youth Radio. I've been an educator working with young people in the Twin Cities on media and narrative literacy for over a decade. And there are a ton of benefits that public access through Speak MPLS provides to this community, and I have a lot I would say, but because we have other folks to speak to their experiences today, I want to spend my time focusing on the youth work that Speak MPLS engages in. In 2025, when corporate news agencies and influencers on YouTube and TikTok are our most commonly watched sources of information, it's imperative that young people grow up with an understanding of media literacy so they can better parse through misinformation. In my decade plus of experience, it's been clear to me that the best, most engaging, and most effective way to do this is to learn how to make media oneself. Speak provides accessible, paid opportunities for young people to learn media production and media literacy so that they can both better prepare themselves for an increasingly deceptive and cynical media environment and to become community leaders in making sure our residents hear from a breadth of local voices and depth of local information that would otherwise remain unplatformed. I ask that you restore full funding for public access TV. While Speak isn't the only organization doing media work with youth, it's one of the very few already under-resourced organizations doing this important work, especially in Minneapolis. My organization, Listen Up Youth Radio, was founded in this city and still works with Minneapolis youth when we're able, but because it's a lot easier for us to access funds to work with East Metro youth, we actually moved to the other side of the river in 2022. Speak MPLS is a vital resource for youth in this city, and as a resident, I urge you to make it a priority now and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 18, Derek, followed by speaker number 19, Mike Forsha.
Hi, I'm Derek Koschel. I'm here on behalf of Speak Minneapolis. So I'm actually a local stand-up comedian and content creator, and I'm asking you not to cut the budget for Speak Minneapolis because I'm currently using it. And I have a lot of friends who are too. I'd have at least 3 friends who are members at Speak Minneapolis, and it's hard to say the number of people who are actually using the service though, because the content that I've created has featured at least 15 other local comedians. So a lot of people are getting a lot of use out of this service. It's a lot of like local musicians, comedians, filmmakers are all able to create high quality content that we just aren't able to create otherwise. Because of Speak Minneapolis, I now have a lot of experience with industry standard video and audio equipment and editing software that I just wouldn't have had any otherwise. It's an insanely valuable community resource. We don't really have much of a film industry here in Minneapolis. This is a really cheap way to develop the talent pool for that industry. It's a very, very cheap way to improve the local economy and the local arts scene. And it's also, creating content for the people, the enjoyment of people who live here. And I, myself, and a lot of people that I know are using it. So we would like to continue doing that, please. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 19, Mike Forsha, followed by speaker number 20, Aaron Johnson.
Anin and Buju. My name is Mike Forsha. I'm a member of the Bad River Band of Anishinaabe Nation. I'm here to represent the American Indigenous Movement. The name was recently changed by Leonard Peltier, who just got out of prison for being wrongfully convicted for over 49 years. And it's one of the first times I've had to speak since the fraudulent restraining order was put against me, and I'm grateful the Minnesota Court of Appeals overturned that case, and I'm thankful for those of you who stood by me and actually testified for me. We have a lot to cover. What Jenna was talking about in Allison, and then now the new case coming up. We had a lot of hope for Brian O'Hara. I was the first one to speak for him when he was sworn in, and he has let our community down. He's let us down. The police have let us down yet again. Read the DOJ report, the Department of Health report. You'll see what we've been through for decades. Our fingerprints are all over that. And as far as the homelessness goes, we just had another mass shooting. The mayor was there, the chief of police was there. They had their little press conference. The next day, everything was thrown away after they were told they would be able to go back in, get their stuff. So there's things out there that they're saying that are not true. They say that we support the encampments. I heard them say that Jason supports encampments. We do not support the encampments. We never have. But what's the alternative? For me and my people, it's land back. We need the Red Road Village. And I appreciate all you who came down to the shelter to take a tour. Katie, appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Before we continue to speaker number 20, I want to go over the 5 following speakers. So speaker number 21 is Marcel Hones. Speaker number 22, Mariana. Speaker number 23, Russ Adams. Speaker number 24, Bob Goonan. And speaker number 25, Kira Kelly. So with that, I'll welcome speaker number 20, Aaron Johnson.
How's it going? Many of you know me. My name is Aaron Johnson, Ward 8. I'm in my feelings a little bit because I'm familiar with just about everyone who's speaking today's stories. And I'm formally here to speak on Speak Minneapolis and the importance of independent journalism. There's a saying, democracy dies in darkness. I believe that is part of the reason why Speak is being defunded. We've heard many testimonies of how the mayor looks bad, the police aren't doing their job, and I think that's exactly the point of defunding a platform for people from the city like myself to share our experiences directly with you. Sorry, as you know, I run out of breath. It's a disability thing, it's annoying. Just give me 1 second. One thing about Speak Minneapolis and public access in general is in a digital age, you know, that's like my main platform. I'm constantly throttled. My posts are buried. There are certain things we kind of can't talk about. And public access gives kind of like a no barrier, free speech access to really anybody. Not to mention, not everybody of certain age groups is familiar with computers, and not everybody has access to the internet. TV is extremely accessible. Why are we defunding that platform while we're increasing funding for a police force that is not effective, that picks and chooses what they're going to do, who turns to the community and goes, hey guys, we need your help again. Like, we're doing all the work. So I'm going to leave it at that. Justice for Allison Lucier, justice for Mariah Samuels.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 21, Marcel Hones, followed by speaker number 22, Mariana.
Good morning. My name is Marcel. For the past 3 years, I've been living in the Whittier neighborhood and have been working as a bartender in Northeast Minneapolis. When I moved here, I learned about the Restaurant Opportunity Center and began receiving significant guidance and resources to know my rights and how to advocate for myself and my coworkers in our workplace. To name just a few examples, ROC has been instrumental in helping myself and my coworkers organize petitions following discriminatory discipline, help us file cases regarding stolen wages, and in the midst of our efforts to unionize, helped us build a coalition between multiple restaurants and community organizations to help protect us from our employers' illegal union busting efforts. Learning about my rights as a worker and how to organize alongside my coworkers has changed my life. Support from ROC has made my work life more stable and has helped me understand the dignity and the power that I can fight for alongside my coworkers. When organizations like ROC receive funding from our city, I believe workers become much more safe. And the backbone of our city is supported. For these reasons and many more, I am asking the council to restore co-enforcement funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 22, Mariana, followed by speaker number 23, Russ Adams.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mariana y soy trabajadora de un restaurante en la ciudad de Minneapolis. Conocí a ROC Minnesota hace 3 años y desde entonces he participado en sus entrenamientos para aprender sobre nuestros derechos como trabajadores. Antes de conocer a ROC, yo pensaba que por ser inmigrante no teníamos derechos. Durante mucho tiempo sufrí maltratos, discriminación por ser mujer, por ser latina, por no hablar inglés. Se aprovechaban de mí y me robaban el salario. Incluso la dueña del restaurante me obligaba a limpiar su casa y si me negaba, me amenazaba con despedirme. Vivía con mucho miedo, sin saber a quién acudir ni cómo defenderme.
Good afternoon. My name is Mariana. I'm a worker in a restaurant. I work in a restaurant in the city of Minneapolis. I was introduced to ROC Minnesota 3 years ago, And since then, I have participated in their trainings to learn about our rights as a worker. Before I met Rock, I believe that because I was an immigrant, I had no rights. For a long time, I experienced mistreated and discrimination for being a woman, for being Latina, and for not speak English. My boss took advantage of me and stole my wages. The restaurant owner even forced me to clean her house, and if I refused, she would threaten me to fire me. I was very afraid to speak up or to file a complaint because I didn't know where to turn.
Todo cambió cuando una compañera de otro trabajo me conectó con Rock. Fue ahí donde aprendí que sí tengo derechos, que no estoy sola, que hay organizaciones que nos apoyan y nos ayudan a alzar la voz. Hoy me siento más segura sabiendo que si tengo un problema en el trabajo, sé a dónde acudir. Sé que tengo respaldo. Por eso creo firmemente que es muy importante que organizaciones como Rock Minnesota sigan creciendo para que más personas como yo se sientan protegidas, acompañadas y empoderadas para defender sus derechos.
Okay. Everything changed when a co-worker from another job connected me with Rock. That's when I learned it, and that I did have rights, that I'm not alone, that there's organization up there that supports workers to help speak up. Today, I feel much more secure knowing that if I have a problem at work, knowing that I know where to go, and that that I have support. That's why I strongly believe that it's so important for organizations like Rock Minnesota to continue growing, so that more people like me can feel safe, supported, and empowered to stand and speak for their rights.
Y es por eso que le pido a Council que restaure los fondos destinados a co-enforcement. El co-enforcement no solo representa una herramienta legal, sino también es una red de apoyo para quienes muchas veces no tienen otra salida. Restaurar estos fondos es una forma de demostrar que los derechos laborales importan y que nuestras voces, nuestras experiencias y nuestra dignidad merecen ser escuchadas y defendidas. Gracias a todos.
Thank you.
Can I just translate that really quick?
If I can have you actually submit those for the public record.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 23, Russ Adams, followed by speaker number 24, Bob Goonan.
Councilmember Chugtai, with your permission, I'd like to switch my number with my colleague Yusra Mohammed. She's at 38, so you can throw me at the back.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Budget Committee. My name is Yusra Mahmoud, and I'm the business advisor for Lake Street Council. I'd like to highlight the vital importance of our cultural districts and commercial corridors, specifically around Lake Street. Lake Street Council works with thousands of entrepreneurs and property owners each year, and these, for many years, these businesses have struggled in the past years due to astonishing combination of social, infrastructural, and economic challenges. Additionally, deportation threats and harmful rhetoric emanating from federal leaders are having a chilling effect on our immigrant communities, specifically for our small businesses. For example, our immigrant businesses along Lake Street have reported up to 40% drops in monthly revenue as community members weigh the risk of simply shopping in public or eating at a local restaurant. So we need a strong commitment to support our Great Streets program, and this would allow continued investment in the Business District Support Program and Facade Improvement Program. I'm also pleased to see that the mayor's budget envisioned sustained funding for our BTAP program. However, I think that needs to double significantly. And of course, we're also pleased to see that the budget continues the DTAP program as well, but that's an effort that needs to continue creating career pathways for new developments of color. Our city budget contains the key ingredients to respond to these challenges. The programs, policies, and investment decisions you will make for 2026 will impact all of our vibrant small businesses and corridors across the city. In that vein, I'm asking you to carefully consider the following program areas that are making a critical difference in stabilizing local commercial corridors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 24, Bob Goonan, followed by speaker number 25, Kira Kelly.
Hello, council members. My name is Bob Goonan. I'm a resident of North Minneapolis in Ward 4. I call on the City Council to remove the 2026 funding of the city's $500,000 contract with Zen City, an Israeli tech company, for a community perception digital survey of the MPD. Through the open data system, I obtained the request for proposal and the 6 vendor responses to it, including Zen City. One vendor is a national firm headquartered in St. Paul. Another committed to multiple forms of community engagement due to MPD's history of racial profiling and use of excessive force. And a third proposed leveraging resources at the University of Minnesota and Mankato State University. The price for these 3 credible vendors ranged from $148,000 to $175,000, roughly 1/3 the cost of the Zen City contract. The city and MPD selected the most expensive option at a time when funds are scarce for urgent community needs in housing, healthcare, infrastructure, and more. The city must have had a strong and documented case as to why it selected Zen City over these other vendors. So I made another open data request to hear the basis of that decision. Then I was told they cannot find that information. We are 2 years, $375,000 into this contract. The only published survey data exposes the disparity in perception of public safety between our Black and Indigenous residents compared to white residents. There is no evidence that the survey data has helped to reduce that gap or to benefit the community. The awarding of this expensive contract remains questionable, the benefits negligible, all the while urgent community needs go unmet. I urge the City Council members to remove the funding in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before we continue to speaker number 25, I'm going to outline the following 5 speakers. Speaker number 26 is Marcia Howard. Speaker number 27, Natasha Doctor. Speaker number 28, Naomi Wilson. Speaker number 29, Lisa Shefty. And speaker number 30, Daisy Panora. So with that, we'll welcome speaker number 25, Kira Kelly.
Thank you. I'm Kira Kelly, South Minneapolis resident and human rights attorney, here to advocate strongly against renewing the contract with Zen City. The Zen City contract is not about making improvements in our community. This is an ongoing attempt to manipulate the public's perception of safety at the expense of our actual safety. Its surveys disproportionately reach overt racists and severely underrepresent perspectives from the most heavily policed communities. We see this in the survey's own demographic data. We see this in the way that the surveys are framed, what questions they ask, and which they don't. We see this in the major spikes in responses when Crime Watch posts these surveys to its audience of armchair racists in the suburbs who gather to spew anti-Black commentary on Facebook. Zen City openly admits that its aim is to limit the impact of protests. This is particularly alarming to me. It scrapes data off of socials to see what people are venting about, so that governments can strategically then undermine those protests. Protests are how we choose to engage. We need protests to prevent our government from getting out of hand. People power is the great equalizing tool, and people need to be able to influence their governments. Zen City is a tool designed for governments to be able to silence and ignore the very people who bear the brunt of their policies. And we can see what Zen City has in mind for Minneapolis by looking at what Unit 8200 of the Israeli occupation forces does to Palestinians. Zen City exemplifies the abhorrent collaboration between U.S. law enforcement and the Israeli military. Zen City's chief officers served in Unit 8200, and it is intertwined with the Israeli military and tech industries. Unit 8200 exists to surveil Palestinians and to undermine their very survival, predicated on a logic of dehumanizing Palestinians so that they're seen as disposable, dangerous terrorists. This same logic is what is underpinning this contract, where we are seeing the government posit its very own people in Minneapolis as a threat, as not human, as dangerous, not deserving of care. We have a lot more better things to spend this money on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and you're again welcome to submit your written comments if you would like to be included in the public record. Next, I'll welcome speaker number 26, Marcia Howard, followed by speaker number 27, Natasha Doctor.
Hi, my name is Marcia Howard, president of Minneapolis Federation of Educators, Local 59. I'm here to talk about budget. I got word that there's an issue with budgeting priorities with a project that I was really into in 2019, which is Stable Homes, Stable Schools. Really, really excited for that program and its continuation. And then the juxtaposition between that and the emergency housing vouchers for our houseless population, and the idea that in order to have that stable homes, stable schools, that maybe we would not be able to have emergency housing vouchers for our houseless relatives. And I need to implore you, to beg you, to plead with you, please do not make us choose between the two. I don't know how y'all can go and sit and look at that budget and find that money, because I'm telling you right now, I've been a teacher since 1998. I understand that that program helps our elementary school families, and right now it's helping like 140 some odd families, but 50 individuals, 50 families that are houseless. It's October. It's about to get cold. They need emergency shelter right now. Y'all, the same people that I teach, once they turn 18, what are we doing? Throwing them away? This is Minneapolis. We don't throw people away. We don't throw people away. We need to take care of our people. This is Minneapolis. Come on now.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to welcome speaker number 27, Natasha Doctor, followed by speaker number 28, Naomi Wilson.
Good afternoon. My name is Natasha Doctor, and I live in East Isles, and I am a Minneapolis Public Schools teacher and currently the first vice president of the Minneapolis Federation of Educators. We live in a great city, one that has the power to care for all. As a teacher, I see that care in our Safe and Stable Schools programming, a program that provides a critical service to families in Minneapolis public schools. When I hear that the mayor's proposed budget pits essential housing programs against each other, I do not see that care for all reflected. Our students do not leave Minneapolis when they graduate. Our care for them should not stop. It should not stop for anyone living in Minneapolis. Today, I am urging the council to support fully funding both programs in this budget cycle and show that as a city, we truly care for everyone who lives in Minneapolis. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are going to welcome speaker number 28, Naomi Wilson, followed by speaker number 29, Lisa Shefty.
Hi, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair. My name is Naomi Wilson. I am a Ward 9 resident, Powderhorn Park. I am the parent of an MPS student. I am an organizer and an advocate for people experiencing unsheltered homelessness. And I am here today to speak about the importance of fully funding two programs: Stable Homes, Stable Schools, and emergency housing vouchers. I'm proud of this council for passing funding for emergency housing vouchers for this past budget year, 2025. I was very disappointed to hear that that funding was not implemented. And then I was horrified to hear that the mayor cut funding for that altogether. This is the mayor who said in 2017 he would end homelessness in 5 years, and now we can't even find funding to house 50 single adults and 50 families through emergency housing vouchers. And as I listened to all of the comments of the people who came before me, what I heard is that this budget that's been proposed to you shows just a profound lack of imagination. We need to live in a city that fully funds stable homes, stable schools, but also emergency housing vouchers, a city that fully funds public media, a city that fully funds code enforcement for workers. And I'm looking at all of you and hoping that you can have that prophetic imagination and bring budget amendments forward to fully fund those programs and support the people in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are going to welcome speaker number 29, Lisa Shefty, and then followed by speaker number 30, Daisy Penora.
Bonjour, Anasharambe Duke, Nindenwe Magani Duke, Lisa Shefty, Indijnaka, Jaganashimong, Miskwa Gamiwe Zaga, Ekaning and Dunjaba, Kakabikang and Da. My name is Lisa Shefty. I'm a Ward 8 resident, and I'm also the executive director of Center School Nawa'i. But I come to you today to talk about I'm a supporter of public access TV, and I ask that you restore full funding for public access TV. An investment in Speak Minneapolis strengthens the civic health of our city and ensures Minneapolis to remain a place where every resident's voice can be heard. Speak Minneapolis is the People's Media Center and TV station, sustaining a legacy of more than 40 years of vibrant free speech and serving as a hub for community information. Public access TV is a vital public service. It ensures the representation for all in a place where neighbors can come together to make the city a better place. Speak Minneapolis provides job opportunities for youth and media tools to inspire the participation in the democratic process. Please restore full funding for public access TV to ensure that Speak Minneapolis remains a place where free speech thrives, neighbors gather to build an understanding of community, and community voices are heard. Speak is also we look forward to watching Speak's Elect Minneapolis series featuring the candidates for mayor and city council that they're currently filming. Miigwech mi'il bizendawieg.
Thank you. Now, before we continue to speaker number 30, I'll outline the following 5 speakers. Speaker number 31 is Gabby Gutierrez. Speaker number 32 is Kristen Crabtree. Speaker number 33 is Sati Hai Misbolteo. Speaker number 34, Maxwell Sean, and speaker number 35, Fancy Ray. So with that, we'll welcome speaker number 30, Daisy. And if we can adjust the timer, please. Now, I'm just going to offer one quick note right there. If you are someone who needs to adjust your microphone, we just ask that you do it from the base instead of where the blue tape is, just so we can avoid breakages right there.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
¿Hable?
Hola. Okay. Buenas tardes, todo el miembro del consejo. Mi nombre es Daisy Panora. Soy residenta de Minneapolis y trabajé durante 6 años en una cafetería local. Durante este tiempo sufrí abusos graves, robo de salario, acoso sexual, agresiones físicas y discriminación por mi salud. Mi género y mi capacidad física. Me sentía atrapada psicológicamente, atormentada, pero la necesidad económica me obligaba a seguir trabajando en esas condiciones inmundanas.
So, Good morning to all council members. My name is Daisy Panora. I am a resident of Minneapolis and I worked for 6 years in a local coffee shop. During that time, I suffered severe abuses, wage theft, sexual harassment, physical assaults, and discrimination based on my health, my gender, and my physical ability. I felt trapped, psychologically tormented, yet the financial need forced me to keep working under these inhumane conditions.
Ese dolor me acompañaba cuando recuerdo esos momentos. Ningún trabajador debería vivir lo que yo viví. En mayo de este año, algo cambió. Conocí a Rock Minneapolis. Esta organización transformó mi vida. No solo me enseñaron los derechos y leyes que protegen a los trabajadores, también me dieron el apoyo y la valentía para alcanzar mi voz, denunciar los abusos y recuperar mi dignidad. Por primera vez sentí que tenía el control sobre mi vida y mi trabajo.
That pain still stays with me when I remember those moments. No worker should ever have to live what I lived. In May of last year, something changed. I met Rock Minnesota. This organization transformed my life. They not only taught me about the rights and laws that protect workers, but also gave me the support and courage to raise my voice, report the abuses, and reclaim my dignity. For the first time, I felt that I had control over my life and my work.
Yo sigo luchando, pero lo más valioso es que he recuperado mi dignidad y mi voz y mis derechos como ser ciudadano, y sé que no estoy sola. Sé que miles de trabajadores enfrentan lo mismo que yo, y es que este apoyo me puede cambiar vidas.
Today I continue fighting for justice, but the most valuable thing is that I have regained my dignity, my voice, and my human rights. And I know I am not alone. I know that thousands of workers face the same struggles I did, and that this kind of support can truly change lives.
Por eso estoy aquí con todo mi corazón para les ruego que restablezcan los fondos de coinformen en el presupuesto de la ciudad. Este programa es vital. Significa protección real para los trabajadores, significa dignidad y significa justicia. Nuestra seguridad, nuestro futuro y nuestra esperanza depende de ello. Muchas gracias por escucharme.
This is why I am here, with all my heart, to ask you, please restore the co-enforcement funding in the city budget. This program is vital. It means real protection for workers. It means dignity. It means justice. Our safety, our future, and our hope depend on it. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 31, Gabby Gutierrez, followed by speaker number 32, Kristen Crabtree. If you can just give us 1 second. There we go. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Hola, mi nombre es Gabriela Gutiérrez y he conocido a Rock Minnesota aproximadamente por 1 año y medio. En este tiempo me han ayudado en varios casos y me han enseñado sobre mis derechos. El trabajo de Rock es muy importante porque muchas veces he sido ignorada y he sufrido por la industria. Somos los más afectados y sin embargo los que menos apoyo recibimos, desde los gerentes hasta nuestros propios alcaldes. En mi experiencia, a los empleadores les gusta la gente que no se queja, que se queda callada y acepta el maltrato. Yo misma he vivido despidos injustificados por alzar la voz y defenderme. Por eso el trabajo de Rock es tan valioso, nos da conocimiento, fuerza y capacidad de defendernos. Les pido que conozcan la importancia de esta organización y los trabajadores a quienes apoyan. Exijo que restablezcan los fondos de co-enforcement. Gracias.
Hello, my name is Gabriela Gutierrez, and I have known Rock Minnesota for about 1.5 years. In that time, they have helped me with several cases and taught me about my rights. The work of ROC is very important because too often the suffering of workers in this industry is ignored. We are some of the most affected, yet we receive the least support, all the way from our managers all the way up to our mayor. In my experience, workplaces prefer people who stay quiet and accept mistreatment. I have lived through being fired simply for raising my voice and standing up for myself. That is why ROC's work matters. It gives us knowledge, strength, and the ability to defend ourselves. I ask that you recognize the importance of this work and the workers that it supports. I also ask that you reestablish the funds for co-enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 32, Kristen Crabtree, followed by speaker number 33, Sati Jaimez Bolteo.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Kristen Crabtree. I am a resident of Ward 9, and I'm a parent in Minneapolis Public Schools. And I come to you today to speak about stable home, stable schools, and emergency housing vouchers. I just want to say that, my neighborhood copes with the impacts of unsheltered homelessness, and I have lived experience as a person who experienced housing instability, and I lived in a supportive housing when I was a young mother. So I come to this saying that I celebrate and really appreciate stable homes, stable schools, and I understand the need for emergency housing vouchers as well. Our city has spent millions of dollars on reactions to homelessness, such as encampment sweeps, and we have an opportunity here to invest dollars in creating solutions that include Housing First, which is data-backed and a best practice, and also was encouraged to be funded by both our county and MPHA before this council. I encourage you to go ahead and continue funding emergency housing vouchers. It can save lives. We heard women speak earlier today, Jana, Mariah Samuel's sister, talking about people and how they're impacted by violence in our community. Every speaker that's come before me has talked about investing in people, whether we're talking about public television and media programs, or we're talking about supporting our workers, particularly undocumented workers, or we're talking about our families and our individuals experiencing unsheltered homelessness. All of this is about pouring into people. That is what builds strong communities. That is what reduces violence. And I encourage you to back up the resolutions that you took calling unsheltered homelessness a public health crisis, as well as calling racism a health crisis in our community, by funding these programs and funding our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 33, Sati, followed by speaker number 34, Maxwell Sean.
Hello, Budget Committee Chair and Council members. My name is Sati Jaimez Botello. I am 16 years old and I am a member of PIC MLS. Speak Minneapolis has changed my life. I first got involved in PIC Summer Camp in 2023, and I was hired by PIC for my first job ever this summer as a step-up intern. I have found what many still search for, a vocation, a purpose. They put a camera in my hand and supported me in my developing my professional skills more than any classroom has ever been. They showed me knowledge that I thought was out of my reach. They believed in me. I was even nominated for an Upper Midwest Emmy Student Production Award for my animation last year. When I signed up for Speak MPLS RISE program, I was not expecting to find my love for animation and filmmaking. Without Speak Minneapolis, I would still be lost about what to do with my life. Speak Minneapolis not only provides job opportunities for the youth and media tools to all, but to inspire the participation of the democratic process. This is my first time at the City Council matter, and I'm sure it won't be my last. I am here to ask you to restore full funding of our public access TV so Speak Minneapolis can continue to provide the same opportunities that I had to other youth. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome Maxwell Sean, followed by Fancy Ray.
Hello, my name is Maxwell Sean. I am a resident of Minneapolis, and I have worked in Minneapolis with First Avenue Productions for the last 3 years. In 2023, we organized the club, and in 2024, I was fired as retaliation for organizing. Within 6 weeks, I was reinstated at First Avenue, in large part due to ROC's education for our union. They taught me and my fellow organizers what I have as rights and what retaliation looks like. If it were not for ROC, I likely would not be working at First Avenue anymore, and I would not be doing what I love to do. I am here to ask you guys to amend the co-enforcement funding cut that was proposed by Mayor Fry, and I am here to ask you guys to continue to educate the workers of Minneapolis the rights that they have and how they can protect themselves against the companies that try to abuse them. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before we continue to hear Fancy Ray's testimony, I'm going to go over the following 5 speakers that will come after. So speaker number 36 is Kirsten Bratt-Johnson. Speaker number 37, Kyle Tappy. Speaker number 38, Russ Adams. Speaker number 39, Emily Krumberger. And speaker number 40, Peter Rickmeyer. With that, I'll welcome Fancy Ray.
Hello, City Council. Hello. My name is Fancy Ray McCloney. I am the best looking man in comedy. The first, the
Fancy
last,
Ray,
the best,
I'm
and
so
the most.
sorry.
I'm
I'm
the
going to need you to
heartbeat
speak
of Minneapolis
right
and
into your
St.
mic
Paul.
so we can capture what you're saying.
You can't hear me? That's never been said to me before. It's a pleasure and an honor to be before you. I'm here for Speak Minneapolis. I started my career on cable access television, and cable access gave me the ability and learned how to produce television, how to write television, which led to a career in television. I want to share with you all something real personal that when I had my cable access show, we had national celebrities on the show, from Donny Osmond to Whoopi Goldberg, all did my show. In addition to that, we did stuff about the LA riots, and we brought it back home. Also, something I want to share with all of y'all is that Brian Coyle, the Minneapolis City Councilman, was the first elected official to come out and say he had AIDS. The last interview he did was on my TV show, because he said my show on cable access was the people he wanted to reach. Something that happened is that through doing my show for 10 years on cable access, many of the folks who work with me went on to careers behind the camera. Folks working in New York, Los Angeles. So it's building careers, building opportunities for people. It's fantastic. Also in front of the camera, something I had the great pleasure doing is being in front of that camera and letting my light shine. And cable access gave me a door to walk through to let my light shine and that everybody could see the beauty and joy, which is Fancy Ray. Also, that it spotlights the city, and so many great talent is out there. So what I want to talk about with cable access, it promotes free speech, artistic expression, community involvement, and developing industry professionals, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. You can't do any better than cable access. So I encourage you to put the money back into the cable access. Let's get these folks funded. Let's work with these kids, these adults, folks who have something to say. You have something to say and a place to say right here in Minneapolis. Cable access TV. Come on, Speak Minneapolis. Come on now. You know what I'm talking about. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you very much, sir. So next we're going to welcome speaker number 36, Dr. Kirsten Bratt-Johnson, followed by speaker number 37, Kyle Tappy.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Kirsten Bratt-Johnson. I've lived in, actually had the chance to vote for Elliot and Jeremiah, and it'll be Katie next, so I've been all over. I'm the CEO and operations chief for Nexa Home Connect. We're a housing stabilization service. We are being defunded at the end of this month. We've been working really closely with the Leech Lake office. They've given us space to work with clients there twice a week, and it's been a real joy and pleasure to be there. So I'm here today to support Sally Finday's proposals to you. Very concerned about what housing is going to look like through this cold winter coming with us. We're just one small agency, but 100 people are losing our support at the end of this month.
And I imagine multiplying that across the city of all these providers losing their funding, vouchers being defunded. I don't know. I'm very concerned for the situation in this coming winter. So I guess that's all I have to say. I'm just very concerned and upset about our own program, but also here to support what Leech Lake is trying to do to support their own relatives and members. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 37, Kyle Tappy, followed by speaker number 38, Russ Adams.
Hello, my name's Kyle Tappy. I live in Ward 10, and I've worked at First Avenue for almost 4 years now. I'm also here on behalf of ROC and the co-enforcement budget being cut by our mayor, who is noticeably not here today. I've been working alongside ROC for about 3 years now, and in that time, my coworkers and I have been a part of one of the most successful labor campaigns in this city. We won historic wage increases at our job that refused to increase wages at all for years, and ROC was instrumental in helping myself and my coworkers develop as leaders and also understand our rights. As workers in the service industry, we do not normally have a lot of avenues to protect ourselves against labor violations, definitely not as many avenues to protect ourselves as companies do. And working with ROC helped us build our own community at First Avenue that takes care of each other and has successfully fought back against retaliation and unsafe working conditions. I think the work that ROC does is very successful and will be even more important in the upcoming years under the Trump administration's attack on labor. And with that, all I'm asking is to please restore the co-enforcement funding in the city budget. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next, we're going to welcome speaker number 38, Russ Adams, followed by speaker number 39, Emily Krumberger.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I've spoken in front of this council on budget cycles for a couple of years now, and it does occur to me that it cuts across many of the divisions and departments that affect places like Lake Street Council. I want to just point out one thing, which is we've been able to invest about $8 million on Lake Street this year, thanks to some legislative initiatives that were made a couple of years ago. Took a while to get the money lined up. That money we've been able to invest it in pre-development support for property owners who are trying to rebuild. We've supported cultural events, murals, arts, activated vacant lots. We've done aggressive marketing, targeted digital strategies, video content that has really made a difference in terms of encouraging folks to come out and shop on Lake Street. Our businesses are suffering a drop in revenue. As Yusra had said earlier, threats of ICE deportation and other federal actions have really had an impact. Lake Street's not the only place that's experiencing that. Many of the cultural districts across the wards in this city are doing so as well. So if there was one thing I'd like to leave with you today, and we'll be back in November with a bunch of businesses to talk, it would be we need to find the money to activate cultural districts in ways that are outside the box. And that means working with our legislators, our Minneapolis legislative delegation, to find funding when you are struggling with your own budget issues. We prove that when you properly resource an organization like Lake Street Council, great things can happen and better community engagement will occur. So I just want to encourage you all to think in those terms. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is speaker number 39, Emily Krumberger, followed by speaker number 40, Peter Rickmeyer.
Hi, good afternoon, Council. My name is Emily Krumberger, current resident of Ward 12, proud former Minneapolis public school student at Marcy and South High. And I am here today to talk about public access and my support for media, though I really urge you to listen to all the speakers and the requests for funding services that are going to support our communities, not today, but several generations forward. I am the former founder and executive director of Listen Up Youth Radio. I helped found the organization with some Minneapolis youth and colleagues. I think it was like 2017, 2018. As you heard from Jordan earlier, the organization is still going strong. And I had the privilege of working in partnership with Speak Minneapolis. I think it was 2021, though multiple times, and we led a collaborative youth forum on identity and school, and that was one of the things that things like public access allow is public forum. Someone referenced it earlier today. Speak Minneapolis films and allows access for city council, forums and other public forums for folks that maybe can't get out, like myself today, and be here and hear from folks running. My support for public access and Speak is going to center on three things: youth leadership and development, access to media, training and journalism, and investment in communities. I'll start with number 3. We heard a lot about homelessness and funding and public safety. Youth programming and media access is one of those antidotes to crime and issues in our community. It supports folks participating, engaging in democracy and in their community long term. And then this vital community media journalism is really hard to find, and please support it. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome to submit any written testimony that you'd like to see included as part of the public record. Next, I'm going to welcome speaker number 40, Peter Rickmeyer, followed by speaker number 41, Catalina Montiel.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to address 3 areas where I believe we can make meaningful improvements to our city's budget and civic engagement. Legal cost efficiency from the city attorney's offices. We must take a more fiscally responsible approach to litigation. If defending a lawsuit is projected to cost taxpayers 10 times more than the amount being sought in settlement, we need to reconsider our strategy. Pursuing expensive legal battles when a more economical resolution is available drains public funds unnecessarily. By adopting a pragmatic approach, we could save the city hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, per year. Funds that could be redirected to essential services, infrastructure, or community programs like Lake Street. Revenue generation. Now, the one thing that I haven't heard much about is how to generate tax revenue to support all these programs that people are wanting to save and for the city to invest in. So let me start with myself, and then maybe others will join in, maybe in November. Revenue generation, downtown Skyway hours. Downtown Minneapolis has on-tap potential after 8 p.m., but our current Skyway hours limit that opportunity. Extending Skyway access until midnight. Is that me?
That's you.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. So I would ask that you are welcome to bring the written comments that you've got in front of you over to the clerks, and we'll include those as a part of the public record. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right. And then we've got our final registered speaker for the day. And I'll note that if you are someone who's hoping to speak and either didn't have an opportunity to sign up yet or whatever the case may be, there's still opportunity to sign up to speak. So with that, speaker number 41, Catalina Montiel.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Catalina Montiel. Trabajo en el área de los restaurantes del downtown de Minneapolis. Como algunos de ustedes ya me conocen, soy madre soltera con 2 trabajos. Tengo 4 hijos, 2 adultos y 2 pequeños. En el área del restaurante, tanto yo como mis hijos hemos aprendido a través de ese tool acerca de nuestros derechos. Para mí, Centul se ha convertido en un lugar seguro desde que he estado activa. En Centul me han informado sobre mis derechos también y cómo estar preparada sobre injusticias que pasen a mi alrededor. Pido que en este presupuesto nos tomen en cuenta con el programa de conforzamiento. Como trabajadores, merecemos un lugar seguro donde seamos escuchados y donde nos enseñen cómo unirnos. En Centul yo me siento escuchada, valorada como madre, como trabajadora, como ser humano, porque a veces en el trabajo pasamos mucho cansancio, mucho estrés, sobre todo las mujeres que somos madres solteras con 2 trabajos. Aparte de atender el trabajo, también tenemos que atender el hogar. Por eso es muy importante que ustedes nos apoyen en el programa de conforzamiento para invertir en nosotros los trabajadores. Gracias.
Hello, my name is Catalina Montiel. I work in the restaurant industry in downtown Minneapolis. As some of you already know, I'm a single mother with 2 jobs. I have 4 children, 2 adult children and also 2 younger children, and my 2 adult children also work in the restaurant industry. Both my older children and I learned about our rights through Cetul. For me, Cetul has become a safe space since I've been active with the organization. In Cetul, I have been informed about my rights and also how to be prepared in case of other injustices that happen around me. At Cetul, I feel heard and valued as a mother and as a worker because sometimes at work we experience a lot of stress and fatigue, especially when we are single women and mothers like myself with 2 jobs, a household to take care of, and cooking to do. That is why it is very important that you support the co-enforcement program to invest in us, the workers. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. That completes the list of registered speakers. Is there anyone else wishing to speak at this public hearing today? I'm going to wait a few seconds in case there's anyone in the overflow room. All right, with that, I will close this public hearing. I'll remind everyone that we have our 3rd public hearing coming up on Wednesday, November 19th at 6:05 p.m. I want to thank everyone who participated in this hearing today and everyone who spoke or submitted comments. We really appreciate your engagement in this important work that helps move our community forward. With that, we've concluded all business to come before the committee today, and without objection, we stand adjourned until our next meeting, which will take place tomorrow, Tuesday, October 7th, at 10 a.m., where we'll receive department budget presentations prepared by Emergency Management, Human Resources, and Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging departments. These presentations are available for your review in LIMS. Thank you, everyone.